One of my students, Anthony Zelinsky, helped put this together, and he was going to be here today. I was going to give him a chance to talk, but he came down with a really bad cold and lost his voice, the same cold I've had for the last 2 weeks, and just got my voice back a couple of days ago. So if my voice starts to crack, I'm not reliving puberty, okay? So please keep that in mind, all right? All right. That ain't going to work.
Yeah, you'll just have to advance it on this, I guess.
All right, do the old-fashioned way.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there we go.
All right, right click. All right, so basically what I want to talk about today is the Stockton Forest Management Plan. Stockton University, by the way, owns Seaview. You're here. And we have the hospitality program here, and I think we still have a dorm of kids around. If you'll probably see them or hear them before, one of the two. Stockton is the youngest college in New Jersey. Charter started in 1969. They had to start at the Mayflower Hotel in Atlantic City in 1971, and then finally the campus was built. It's built on 1,500 acres, and a college in a forest is an apt description of it. And so basically what we're going to talk about today is the Stockton Forest Management Plan. Shortleaf has a place in all of that, and I wanted more importantly to talk to you about communication. I've been working with Atlantic White Cedar for a quarter of a century, going to all the meetings except for the last biennial, triennial one we've had, trying to get Atlantic White Cedar back, which suffers, I think, even more than Shortleaf in some states. And we have a lot of science, but very little movement. And I'm really glad for what Mr. Sacco and the DEP is now trying to do. I hope we start moving on a landscape level, not only here in New Jersey, but across its range, because it is a very important species in and of itself. So it's all about communication to me, as well as the science, with a public education component to it. I think this is how you put it together. So let me show you one of the videos at the website. We'll talk about the website and how this all comes together, and about the plan itself, as soon as I do my magic here. So this is an introductory video geared towards the public about forest management in general.
Stockton University has been called a college in the forest. Just like the Pinelands National Preserve in South Jersey, where Stockton is situated, the forest our university is embedded in gives Stockton its character and the kind of services and opportunities that all forests give us. Recreation, wildlife, protection of water resources, and wood products.
But our forests, both nationally and locally, are in danger from threats such as catastrophic fire and insect pests. So to protect and enhance our forests, Stockton joined together and came up with a comprehensive forest management plan that was approved by the Pinelands Commission in 2013.
Stockton's management plan stresses the latest scientific techniques of ecological forestry to meet 12 objectives. Among them, protecting the health of the forest, minimizing the risk of catastrophic fire to our campus, and increasing the biodiversity, sustainability, and resiliency of our forests, while also providing unique educational and research opportunities to our students and surrounding communities. We are Stockton University, a college in the forest, and we have a comprehensive management plan to make our forests even better for everyone.
Now I'm going to try to X this out without exploding everything. Let's see. Can I hit the little X?
Just go like that.
Just go like that and it will go away?
Go to the next.
Yeah, I don't want to melt down in the middle of this.
Yeah, again, just go to the next slide.
There we go. We're through it. Everybody feel better now? So the plan was approved in 2013, this comprehensive management plan. I think it's still the only state plan for state lands has been approved in the state of New Jersey. So we're still ahead, and if not, hopefully they're not far behind us. That's an important point to make here, okay? The only state entity that's gotten a comprehensive management plan approved by the Pinelands Commission and the DEP. And I'm hoping that what we're doing here will make it easier for people to do things in the future. But it's a matter of perceptions a lot of times, sometimes false perceptions of what ecological forest management really means. So we were approved in 2013 by the Pinelands, and that's after a couple of years of literally sitting in the back with Stockton administration, faculty members, and then we hired Bob Williams, who I consider the best silviculturist in the region, to do it for us. So it's at least 1,200 acres that are impacted by the plan for the next 10 years. That's how it works here. And it's adaptive forest management, which means that particularly in our instance, we have permanent plots out in a lot of the places that we're doing the silvicultural work, and we're monitoring them, and we'll see whether it works or not. If it doesn't work, well, we'll go on to the next thing that we're going to do and change it. So here's some of the 12 objectives of that management plan, and of course the one I highlighted here is where we think Shortleaf falls into. So sustain, protect, create, and or enhance not only habitat for threatened and endangered species, but all local wildlife populations. We're managing for health issues, opportunities for active management for scientific research and education. I wrote a specific section in that plan to address those particular issues and what we'd be doing. And bringing back fire, which we've constantly hearing here, and it's a really big deal here in the Pinelands, with a lot of human beings set in a mosaic that has the potential to really blow up. And tomorrow, as you walk around, some of you who haven't been here before, I think you'll start to understand the fuel load situation we're at here, and how close a lot of people are to a really dangerous situation in terms of that urban wildland. So the educational component, we have put out a couple of trails. You're going to see them tomorrow. We put out these QR targets that you're going to see. You're going to be able to use your phones. I used to use a lot of fancy signs and stuff, and we still have some signs up, but they cost a lot of money. And I have a young population of students that are mischievous. So if they go out and destroy this is a treated post with a QR tag that I have just laminated with a UV protectant. I can easily replace that, but if I keep going back and asking for thousands of dollars for signs, that's going to add up. Plus, this brings in the internet to them in the field. It gives them updated information that I couldn't update in the sign every time, plus videos. Part of the problem we have in capturing the public right now, you're only going to hold the attention of the public for so long. They are inundated with information. You see it every day in our lives. So you have to capture people and hold on to them long enough to give them the message. And so you've got to be innovative in the things that you do. And we're trying to be, and we're also trying to address the fact that if you look at the environment and how it ranks for importance in everyday American lives, it's always been about 25th. And if we don't bring the public more aware of things, it's always going to be a very uphill battle for us in terms of the things that we want to do. So one of the places that we have some of the silvicultural plan in place is Delaware Avenue. You're going to visit that tomorrow, and it has two components to it. We have part of this area that's 69 acres or so in length, and we have an area that has more of a heavy pine component with shortleaf in it. And we started a Stoddard-Neal approach to this, to show people that we can have an active management, that's going to be individual selection, that's going to do all the things that Stoddard-Neal does. As many of you already know that, it's relatively unknown up here, and I think it's a really good jumping off point for alternatives for pine management. And so we've started that process off, and we're probably going to expand that to part of the area east of that where we have a heavy pine shortleaf component that is in need of these places. So we started a low thin on this last year, and we already put fire through there once, and we're going to start putting fire on a regular basis. Once again, we use Bob for all the silvicultural decisions that we do. The other part of it, to the south and the north of it, is a long-term experiment, about 55 acres total, of fire interval. Just one aspect of fire, how long before fire returns. And we hope to demonstrate to the public through the years, and I'm talking the decades ahead. I do lots of long-term research, both at Atlantic White Cedar and now with the upland systems, about what fire means. So there's a movie on this. tomorrow if you want to access it that talks about all the details of it. It's a blocked experiment, so it has scientific as well as educational use. And the one block, you're going to go right down the center of it to what is Delaware Avenue, which is an unimproved road that's partially improved at the southern end now. And we have 1 to 2 up to 15 to 16 years. So when this experiment has completed one complete cycle of treatments, it will be the year 2030. We fired the whole thing in the year 2015 and then started the 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. Now you may wonder what 1 to 2, 2 to 3. Bottom line is there are times in Jersey when the conditions haven't been good to make a burn. We don't get anything done in a year. And even just the fires that we've had on campus the last few years has been amazing, the variability. Once again, I'm preaching to the choir with lots of you on the variability of fire, but this is something we want to show the public and just take one of the many aspects of fire out and have them see it and have them revisit the sites through the years, see what's going on in these sites. And so tomorrow you'll see part of that experiment that we've started. We have a research component and we involve the students and the faculty with it. The environmental sciences program that I'm a part of has 9 faculty members and it's sort of like an arc. I'm the token forester, there's a wildlifer, there's a GIS person, a landscape planner, we have a soil scientist, we have a forest hydrologist, and we have a toxicologist, and now we have a new aquatic ecologist on board and a new soil scientist that just replaced our other member. And so they all have a stake in this. So these are some of our students setting up different experiments. I contacted Dr. Robertson from Tall Timbers a few years ago and we got his protocols for measuring fire. And so we're burying hobos before the fires and stuff using thermocouples. We have a portable weather station that monitors during the burns. And the students have reacted very positively towards it. And in fact, at least 2 of the people in this pictures here have gone on to graduate school. One of them is finishing up at Yale now. And specifically, once I guess they saw the flames and stuff, they were enamored to it. And I don't blame them. It's amazing work. This is more pictures of the students doing various types of things. This was the first set of burns we put through the entire system, sort of reset the clock at the beginning with some back burns and some head fires. Little chart there of the hobo. We did other fire work where we did mechanized harvesting. There's been no harvesting except that low thin that we did this past summer. So this is primarily pine oak systems that we're doing the Delaware experiments on that you'll see tomorrow. Next one, please. There we go. And is that going to burn? Is that going to do anything? One of the things we're using is time-lapse photography. First of all, people aren't going to be there to see the burns, so we want them to see the burns. Here's a time-lapse of stripping in the 1 to 2 year middle block, so you'll be able to see that out there. The time-lapse photography is also handy, you'll see, for people that when they go out to see a site that's been disturbed, they think that's the way it's always going to be because they don't think on the timeline of trees. They think on the timeline of humans. So we already have permanent time-lapse photography cameras up, 3 of them. We're going to add 2 more of them. Plus we have a lot of IR wildlife capture plots out there too. But this is so people don't see the event, they can appreciate the event. And also we'll talk about the different types of fires out there and the fire basics. So hopefully by the time the public goes through this, they have a good idea of what's going on. Now at the Northeast Campus Forest, as we call it, we had a fire danger assessment threat assessment done on the whole campus by John Sanford, our local fire warden. And we found the only place on campus where we have a real problem is where the campus police buildings are and the plant management buildings are. And that's in the upper northern end there. And so we've already planned to put in a 100-foot buffer and then thin those stands around it. We also have a patch clear cut with VR variable retention and a control area up in the northern part, and below that no cutting part there is the southern part, and we started that first just to see what was going on. It replicates, except for the buffers because we don't have the buildings up there, the same patch clear cut under 3 acres approximately, and the control area and the thin. So that was done by a mechanized harvester, and that presented slash. They were putting slash in front of it. So we have experiments where slash isn't, thin experiments. We have also out there small mini deer exclosures in the thin, the control. and the clear-cut part, because we have a high deer population, no hunting is allowed on campus, so we want to show and demonstrate the interactions of all these things that are going on out there right now. So we set this area aflame, and there's the area in red. That's an aerial drone, once again the drone photography, done by our students, by the way, who are adept at this stuff, gives you a perspective and one that captures your eye too, which I think is very important. So there's an area coming down of the low thinning, approximately 40% low thin, 40% of the basal area taken out in that. There's another picture, still picture for you to see the area control to the right, and then the thinned area in the southern part of the Northeast Campus Forest. There's a little tip of the little clear cut we have up there. Why all these things? The same reasons that have been going on that you've been hearing all the time. Loss of early successional habitat, that's why the clear cut is there, to bring back some diversity and structure. We leave variable retention. We left a few trees, 3 trees in that. We leave all the best trees, by the way. They're low thins. Any shortleaf pine we see, no cut on shortleaf pine, because it is a rarer component and we try to favor any of the rarer species that we find. This is when we were actually harvesting, and that guy in blue is the president of the university. He was glad to get out of a suit that day and come out and see what was going on in his campus. Dr. Kesselman has been wonderful. To his right is Dr. Jamie Cromarty, who I think is one of the best overall ecologists in New Jersey, and he just recently retired. He set up a whole bunch of insect traps of various types before we started doing any fires and cuttings, and has been monitoring those systems. Already done a bunch of papers on them, and that shows some of the harvesting that was done in the mechanized part. And there's Anthony, who would have given up in the upper left corner today, who would have given the talk. That's one of the larger shortleaf pines we have on campus. Unfortunately, didn't get the no cut on the ribbon, but it does say no cut, just doesn't say cut. And some of the shortleaf reproduction we're getting, as well as a picture of the, in the lower middle there, of the clear-cut patch. And then that's my dendro class, Saturday's fun, from 8:30 to 2:30, looking at their first shortleaf pine and how to identify it. And once again, here's some pictures of the fire that we did on November 23rd, 2016. We got quite different temperatures, obviously, in the slash piles versus no slash piles. Temperatures as high as 2,000 degrees, much different type of fire, obviously, than we had. And that was very fascinating compared to, for instance, what we got on Delaware Avenue. Here's some of the other experiments that are being done by the faculty. As I said, Dr. Cromarty has insect traps all over the place. He's been doing pre and post studies, which are very useful. Dr. Tredick just got tenured. She's our mammal wildlife person, an expert in black bears from Virginia. And she's been doing small mammal trapping. One of the things we saw, for instance, before the clear cut, we had 100 traps set out in the area, and a couple of microtus in there, a couple of mice. And then as soon as we clear cut 100 mice, she had to shut down half the traps because they couldn't process all the mice that were coming in there. And we had a few tall trees, variable retention up there, and the hawks, that was a giant salad bar for them. So they were just landing there and having a good time with everything. We have Dr. Witt, who from Kentucky, who has looked at hydrology in silviculture, and she's been monitoring the soil temperatures and groundwater levels in the clear cuts and the thins and control areas. I've been doing LIDAR analysis, starting LIDAR analysis and taking LIDAR, and we put rebar in, sync rebar in for permanent plots. We can come back and look at all of this, setting up databases for the future to inform us on the kinds of decisions we make and the results we get from all of this. Very, very important for everybody to be open about what's going on, what works and what doesn't work. And this is just a snapshot of the opening pages. Right now, if you go to the Stockton webpage later on and look for it, you're not going to find it directly. We're putting in the direct link. But if you go up to search and you put forest fire in, you'll get to the site. And the best thing to do is hit the Stockton Forest Management Plan. That will get you to the welcome page. Then we have a forest fire research and education. We got a 2-year grant from NJDEP Forest Fire to start all of that, and they were wonderful and been doing a great job working with us. They do all the prescribed burns, and these are all winter burns, by the way, for people from down south. And then we have the Delaware Avenue one. Once again, all the stops are on there, so you can sit at home, go through the stops, or when you go and you flash your phone on the QR target, it will immediately take you to that part. There's lots more videos showing various things, for instance, how we make a fire break and why we're doing disking rather than plowing in the fire breaks, because we think it changes the hydrology. And then we have the Northeast Campus part, and so on and so on and so on. I think that's it. Oh, here's one time-lapse photography, just once again. We have it on the clear cut. I just downloaded a lot of this information and put a few together for you today. But eventually we want to see this whole thing grow up. And we want to show in a compressed time people what happens on these things. Because once you go in, for instance, now people go in and go, that's a mess. And I go, it's a mess when I make my cheesecake in the kitchen. And, you know, the kitchen's a total wreck, but give me a couple hours, I clean it up, cheesecake comes out of the oven, sets for a day. It's a cool cheesecake. So you got to give me some time. So hopefully with a succession of these, both in where we put fire and where we are doing thinnings and clear cuts, when we put years of this together, we can demonstrate to the public what's going on here, because these are questions that they have, legitimate concerns, given human nature and what we look at and what we do, and we have to address those questions to be effective in promoting the things that you and I want to do, because we love these forests, we're doing it for all the right reasons, but sometimes people don't get those messages unless we're effective in presenting them. I love this part. This was just a quick one for fire. This was the Stoddard Neal head fire. Everything's going well, and they'll come back in a little bit and do their little thing. Anyway, you'll see in a minute they'll come back and stamp it out. That's it. Questions? Watch for it. Here it comes.
You gotta wear Avenue before Sunday morning.
Any second now. Any second now. There it goes. Building up. Get it. Get it. Get it. Get it. There we go. All right, cool. Thanks so much for your time.